pleased to introduce not only our speaker, but first of all, a man of many talents, man of wearing several hats. He's going to also perform something first, and then he will give us his wisdom. Dick Dingus is a former pastor at the United Church of Christ, where he served churches for 26 years. And following that, he was a chaplain with the Heartland Hospice for 15 years. He has been retired since early 2020, but I have not seen that. He lives in Virginia Beach with his grandchildren, dog, cats, and rabbits, and he has been known to bring vegetables into the church. Dick is also on the board of Virginia Beach Friends of the International Association for Near-Death Studies. He's also very interested in hearing anybody's tales from your own near-death experiences or other people who you may have talked to. He can be, of course, contacted through the church. At first, Dick is going to play for us, and then he will share with us something that I think you're going to find delicious. Dick Dingus.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The hymn I want to sing today is called "Take My Life and Let It Be." This is a hymn that was written by Francis Havergal, who lived in the late 1800s. The hymn itself is over 100 years old. It's a classic hymn, one that most people know who have grown up in the traditional church. Francis Havergal had an interesting and inspiring life. At age 4, she was memorizing and writing memorizing verses from the Bible and writing them at age 7. Her father was an Anglican clergyman. He was also interested in Christian hymnody. She lived only 43 years, but during that time she learned many languages. She was a singer of note and also an accomplished pianist. This hymn describes dedication to the Christ, and that's why I chose it, or it chose me, for me to sing it today, because it goes with the message. And that was my guitar against the microphone. Couldn't wait. Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of Thy love. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for Thee, swift and beautiful for Thee. Take my voice and let me sing, always only for Christ my King. Take my lips and let them be filled with messages from Thee, filled with messages from Thee. Take my will and make it Thine, it shall be no longer mine. Take my heart, it is Thine own, it shall be Thy royal throne, it shall be Thy royal throne. Take my love, my Lord, I pour at thy feet its treasure store. Take myself and I will be ever only all for thee, ever only all for thee. The dishwasher was the title of my last talk here, and that was on June the 6th. And it was a healing service. And in my talk, I compared the act of extending healing energy to that of the workings of an automatic dishwasher. I felt it was a good service, and several people confirmed what I felt. Bob even told me that during the service, he felt the sanctuary vibrating. What he said made me feel good, and later I told my girlfriend, and she said the vibration was the dishwasher. Strange things are happening. I've entitled today's message, Lemon Meringue Pie. And later, the Three Stooges may appear and reenact their pie-in-the-face routine. Most assuredly, however, there will be a test, so you may want to take notes. The test question is, how can we cope with troubles and difficulties that we experience in this life so that we will be satisfied and feel blessed? Let me share how this message developed. After the healing service, I went to Golden Corral. I had 2 plates of entrees and a full plate of desserts before they put out the lemon meringue pie. I love lemon meringue pie, but I decided not to have any. It has too much sugar. I was full already, and while I love it, it was too much of a good thing. Then I had this thought: heaven is too much of a good thing. Heaven is all love, joy, and peace. It's all happiness. And that's why some people come to earth, for a change. We know about this desire for change. On earth, we often do it. Life can become boring. We go to an amusement park to enjoy the thrill of a ride. We go to a movie to experience the suspense or the horror. You may, I don't. My last ride on a roller coaster was about 20 years ago, and I will never do that again. I don't need to have my body shaken up like that. I still haven't seen Silence of the Lambs, and I don't think I ever will. I was about 5 years old when my grandmother took me to see the movie War of the Worlds. I can still see the top of the saucer opening and the cobra-like arm reaching out and scanning the horizon, and there's a tank. Zzz! No more tank. I shuddered when I saw that, and I still feel the shudder when I think about it. Today, I limit my science fiction to watching Star Trek, mostly The Next Generation. In spite of the dangers and risks, you know that the ship is not going to be destroyed. Captain Picard and the main characters are not going to be killed. It's the same with our life on Earth. It's all an illusion, a production. It's not real. Only our emotional response is real. And like Star Trek, our earthly experience is going to turn out okay. Let's compare life in the spiritual realm, or in heaven, with life on earth. In both places, you can have anything you want. In heaven, think it, and it becomes manifested to you. On earth, you can sing with Arlo Guthrie. You can have anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Then, after you put in your order, you just have to sit and wait for it, since it's generated in the space-time continuum. The difference is, while you're waiting, you can enjoy the suspense and the uncertainty. In heaven, there is no suspense, no uncertainty, no excitement. There's no linear time in heaven for suspense to occur. It's happening all at once, so you know the end from the beginning. So in heaven, when we want suspense, we choose to experience time for a change. We come to earth. To make it exciting and worthwhile, we work with our soul group and with our guides to set up challenges at our growing edge. And then we delete the memory of it to fully experience a separate experience. An experience of being separate from the oneness. Rob Schwartz wrote a great book about this entitled Your Soul's Plan, Discovering the Real Meaning of the Life You Planned Before You Were Born. So is it a wonder that we experience problems and troubles and difficulties on earth? We set it up this way so that we would experience adventure, uncertainty, risk, loss, sadness, poverty, pain, a feeling of separation, even the illusion of death. Life on earth can be difficult. Many of us will experience the irony of not wanting to enjoy any more of this illusion, but wanting to go back home. We want to leave the movie before the end. I've had enough. Beam me up, Scotty. Recently, I saw a rerun of an episode of the original Star Trek series. Captain Kirk is part of an away team exploring a planet that resembles Earth. It seems like a nice place until terrible things start to happen. Bones, the medical doctor, is killed. A World War II fighter plane strafes 2 of the crew. A tiger is seen on the loose. Finally, after a fistfight with an old Academy acquaintance who has not aged, Captain Kirk realizes that the thoughts and desires of the away team are being monitored and then manifested into what appears to be reality. So the captain immediately gathers them all together and cautions them not to think. He prepares them to all be beamed back to the ship before their thoughts can create any more havoc. Then the proprietor of the planet arrives and explains to Captain Kirk that the planet is wired to fabricate whatever thoughts and wishes are in the minds of those who visit. There are antennae around to pick up their thoughts. It's like an amusement park, a place where people can enjoy their wildest fantasies. He apologizes that this was not clear to Captain Kirk. Then he adds that nothing that happens there is permanent, at which time Bones appears with 2 showgirls on his arms. He wasn't killed after all. The captain concludes that this will make a wonderful place for shore leave for the rest of the crew, and he's ready to return to the ship, but he turns and he sees Ruth, an old flame, and he decides that he's going to stay a little bit longer. If you are here on shore leave, I hope you are enjoying this place and that you will decide to stay a little longer. I would miss you if you were gone. But my main focus today is to offer suggestions to those who are finding life difficult on earth suggestions to make life here tolerable, if not enjoyable. This applies especially to persons who have had a near-death experience. Many return to the light temporarily, experience the bliss of being in that wonderful realm, and then return with the memory of it. Compared to that bliss, earth can feel like a living hell. In the book I read this past week, Waking Up in Heaven, I brought a copy. Crystal McVeigh writes that she died and stood in God's presence. And then reflecting on that experience, she writes, I longed to be with God again. And this was even more important to her than being on earth with her family, her husband and her 4 children, all of whom she loved dearly. Peter Panagore, who spoke from this lectern about his near-death experience, is another example. These days, he expresses dismay at having chosen to return to earth. He had a choice. He says he wishes he had made a different choice. If you are having a hard time being away from the realm of light and love, see if you can experience God's love as you commune with nature. God is all that is, and God is in all that exists on this earthly plane. We can often have a greater sense of God's presence when we ponder the wonder and the beauty of creation. In general, you can change your experience by changing your thoughts about it. As in the episode from Star Trek, the universe picks up the signals of our thoughts and our wishes and our desires and manifests them to us. Our thoughts are creative because we were created in the image and likeness of our Creator. Some souls come to earth for shore leave. Others incarnate here to learn by experience, perhaps because of past mistakes, and thus to grow more closely into the likeness and image of God. References from the Bible can help us understand that this is God's plan for us. There are verses from the Bible that connect with this concept. The first is from Romans chapter 8. You may remember the passage. All things work together for good to those who are called according to God's purpose. And all of this is happening so that Christ will have many siblings. The other passage is from Hebrews chapter 2, verses 9 and 10. The essence is that Christ grew to maturity spiritually through the things that he experienced on earth. And Christ is available, having gained that knowledge and experience, to help us in our times of difficulty. We just need to ask. I would like to do that now. Let us have a moment of prayer briefly. Jesus, we recognize you as one who went through all that we experience on earth and came out perfect in God's eyes. We thank you for your life. We ask you to help us as we walk the journey and help us to feel connected with you. Amen. Either way, shore leave or soul growth, this life on earth is still an illusion. What I say may sound plausible this morning, but unless you've had a near-death experience, it will take a leap of faith to believe that this is only an illusion. Instead, what we experience here will seem to be the only reality. There will be times that will call for our endurance, when we will question the purpose of life. Then would be a good time to read the book by David Sunfellow called The Purpose of Life. And I brought a copy of that too. That book is the most inspiring collection of near-death experiences I have ever read. Gathering such information can help us, can inspire us, while we are part of our away team exploring this earth. In the meantime, keep in mind that the pain and the sufferings we experience here are only temporary, but the benefits will last forever. In her near-death experience, Sandy Taylor was told the reason the earth experience exists. It's so God, who is infinite, can know what is finite. God experiences what is finite through us. Sandy was told that the purpose of our lives is fulfilled by us just being here and by us choosing love. She was told that every time we choose love, we expand the universe, and that we are essential for the ongoing life of the universe. You can read her fascinating near-death experience by Googling the NDE of Sandy Taylor. Sandy spelled with an I, S-A-N-D-I. And I have a link, which will be on my Facebook page, because I'm going to put the text of this message on my Facebook page later today. You've heard the song Imagine by John Lennon. These are the words. Imagine there's no heaven, no religion too, nothing to kill or die for, a brotherhood of man. You may think I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Think of the meaning of these words. As you go about your life day by day, live as if the most important thing is achieving a feeling of oneness with everyone, not separated by religions, ethnicities, or economic factors. That, in my words, is the oneness of love. And the oneness of love, in my opinion, is God's goal for humankind. Your life will have meaning for all humankind if you promote oneness and love. You will be filled with the flow of God's love as you extend and pour it out to others. So, living here is highly important on several levels. The individual level of soul growth, the corporate level of humankind progressing toward oneness, and the universal level of all that is. If you experience suffering, then offer your life to God to make it meaningful. That's what Linda Mae Stewart did. After her near-death experience, she was reduced to being alone and lying in bed in pain. She prayed that God would either heal her or take her home, but nothing changed. Finally, she accepted her condition, and she asked God to use her for some good. After that, she gradually recovered and became a popular speaker about her near-death experience and the after effects. You can read her story at neardeath.com/Linda Stewart. By the way, I found her story among many others at the Near Death Experience group on Facebook, which has to date over 60,000 members. This offers hope for a more rapid transformation of humankind, because not only are near-death experiencers changed, but so are those who read about them. For whatever purpose you came to earth, live it most fully. Live for today. Believe in life beyond, but face the challenges and live as if this is the only reality. Sing as if no one can hear you. Dance as if no one is watching. Live as if heaven is on earth. Don't hold back. Live boldly. Become all that you want to be. If you have a desire to aspire, then it's likely that that is part of your soul plan, which you planned for yourself. And if you planned it for yourself, then it's achievable because you didn't set yourself up for failure. So go for it. You can make it. God is your helper. God wants you to succeed. God is on your side, ready to give you all the help you need. All you need is to ask. And also rely on those who are closest to you. After all, they are likely members of your soul family who collaborated with you in the planning for this lifetime. And they came here to help you to be successful. Today, I would also like to speak about parenting. I say this from experience. My late wife, Bonnie, and I adopted and raised 2 boys from age 4, and now they're in their 40s. And then for the last 12 years, we raised 3 of our grandchildren, until about 3 years ago when Bonnie died. Now I raise them with the help of the police and social services. Like ourselves, our children and grandchildren come into this world for their own soul growth. Is it a wonder that they, like us, experience problems? We need to remember that their problems are their problems. We are not here to solve their problems, but to provide an environment in which they will feel empowered to solve them by themselves. If we solve their problems for them, then we are keeping them from the main purpose of their experience on earth, to learn and to grow by facing and overcoming challenges. What they need from us is to be the anchor of unconditional love so that they will have the confidence to grow beyond their challenges. We can't make decisions for them, but we have to allow them to make their own choices. In order for them to do this, we need to give them enough scope. Scope describes the length of line between a boat and the anchor. They need for us to give them enough scope so that they will have the freedom to explore, but not so much that it would allow them to get into trouble. The best way seems to be to set good limits, to stand by and observe, to give an occasional warning as needed, and to be available to listen and to help if asked. And as I think about it, isn't that the way that God parents us? I sat in the booth at Golden Corral, sipping my second cup of coffee as I was drafting the message for today. Time had gone by, and I had room for that piece of lemon meringue pie. I went to the dessert counter and asked, "Is that lemon meringue pie?" "No," the lady answered, "it's coconut cream." So I had ice cream instead. I kept myself happy by being flexible. Okay, I would like to find out how well I communicated to you this morning. I described more than a dozen ways that we can live happily on earth. Some are concepts that we can study and come to believe, and some are actions. And I wonder, what did you hear? And so I've provided an opportunity for you to give me feedback today. It's something new. It's called a sermon feedback. And I invite you to gather with me in the wing after our closing circle, because I'm eager to know you better. Just show up. But before you do, stop in the lobby and enjoy a piece of lemon meringue pie. Now, in conclusion, according to Genesis, God looked upon the creation and said, "It is good." When we gather in the spiritual realm and reflect on our lives here, we will see everything from God's larger perspective, and we will say the same thing. It was and is good. Thank you for listening.